Hey, what's happening? Welcome to Hotshot Trials and Tribulations. This is what we're dealing with. This isn't gonna be one of those. This is how you should do it. This is gonna be one of those. This is how we do it, and you can take from it what you want. And if you like it, cool. If you don't, you can do it however you want to do it. Because it's all about getting creative out here.
No, who knows? Hopefully we'll help somebody and yeah.
Maybe you'll learn something today.
We got
Maybe you already knew it, and if you did, comment and say, "Hey, I already knew that, motherfucker." We are oiling up and greasing binders today, so we'll talk about this for a minute. I used to be a WD-40 fan, and this is not a paid advertisement, but PB Blaster, a friend of mine turned me onto this a couple years ago, and I haven't picked up WD-40 since, and this stuff works wonderful. What I like most about this is this feature right here, and I've never seen this, and maybe y'all could tell me, hey man, you were doing it wrong the whole time. But this feature right here is the fact that you can just barely squeeze that button, and it comes out instead of that. See, instead of that, you just barely squeeze it, and it just barely comes out. Now I tried this with WD-40 a couple times, and it never worked out. So to be able to just barely squeeze it, I think is a benefit. Maybe I was doing it wrong the whole time, and if I was, and someone sees this and knows that you can do that with WD-40, be like, hey, dummy, I can do it with mine, and hey, that's cool. So, like I said before, this isn't what you should do. This is what we do. So, we're just gonna grease these up, and then when we're done greasing these up, we'll talk about the other stuff. But I'm pretty sure you don't want to sit here and watch a 5-minute long video of me greasing up binders. my lovely wife here asked me if I wanted to put grease on these. And I said no, and she's like, why? And I said, because you don't want to. And she said, why? And I said, because that's not the right thing to do. And she said, why? And I said, because it's grease. And she said, but yes, it's grease. And I said, okay, let me take a step back here. You don't want to put actual grease on these, because grease is a petroleum jelly, and what it does is it will attract dirt and grime and all the bad stuff. It will just pack everything in there, and grease eventually gets hard. And so, if you're gonna do something, do some kind of liquid grease.
Is that actually called grease, or is it just like a type of oil?
It's an oil. It's a petroleum-based oil. Well, actually, I guess all oil is petroleum-based, but it's just an oil. It's not a jelly. In fact, right back. So this is a good time to talk about this. So this is a grease packer that I accidentally left outside and it rained. So as you can see, that grease turned into a compound. It's no longer good.
Yeah, it was brown before that, wasn't it?
It's usually that color right there. So this is after one night of being in the rain, and that's what happened. It turned into a compound. Now this stuff is hard. It doesn't want to mold. So that's what happens to your grease, which is why you don't want to put grease on these.
The stuff in the grease gun, is it the same stuff?
Same stuff. So there's your lesson in grease today. So why you don't want to use grease on things that are outside. don't have some kind of seal on them. Which is also the same reason why you want to change your grease on your wheel bearings every once in a while, because it burns up, it gets hot, turns into liquid and goes away. Or it gets wet and turns into a compound and it just clumps up. And I've got it all over me.
Luckily, that's his workshop pants.
Yep, yep. These will go straight into the wash when I'm done. They always do. So this is your lesson on preventive maintenance and grease. We're gonna go talk about this tarp here in a minute. How about you? Hey, what's happening? What's happening? This is our tarp. It's 28 feet long, 8 feet wide, with 6 foot drops. Now when I say 6 foot drops, I'm talking about this right here. This is a drop. So as you can see, it's 8 feet long or 8 feet wide, and it's got drops. So you have something that's 28 feet long, and it's flat, and it's 8 feet wide. This will sit flat on top of your load. This will drape over the load. You're not up here in the front. This will drape over the front of your load. So I'm not going to tell you what to get. I'm going to tell you what we got.
And the reason why we got this.
And the reason why we got this. And this is a vinyl tarp. And it's got D-rings. And it's got the stitching right here to keep your D-rings in place. You can tie it down every foot and a half. And we like it because it's got 3 rows. 1, 2, 3. And then it's got the rings at the bottom. So if you only have something that's 2 feet tall, what you can do is you can roll this bottom piece right here under. You roll it under and then strap it from one of these 3 rows right here. And we have a video, I'm gonna post it right here, of us doing a really short load. It was short, skinny, and long. I think it was 10 feet long, 1.5 foot wide, and 1.5 foot tall. So we ended up actually only using half of the tarp. But these rings came in mighty handy. So the reason we got this was because we had a broker that needed a load from Phoenix to Boise, Idaho. And we didn't have a tarp.
That was a really good load.
It was a really good load. And apparently this guy had been trying to get this load taken care of for a couple of hours. And they really needed it. So the company actually paid for us to buy a tarp. So we went and got a tarp, and we went, and so they paid $300 to get a tarp. Now I had 50 bungees at home. So we had to buy bungees. So all in all, it was $520, and they paid $300 of it. So I was like, well, hell yeah, we got a tarp for less than half price.
Which I've been talking to about getting a tarp because there were a lot of loads that need tarps, and we have been stuck in states because we didn't have a tarp.
Yep.
And so due to the fact that we have a 34-foot trailer, it's harder to find loads as it is. And when you don't have a tarp and a 34-foot trailer, that limits your options.
Especially in the rainy seasons.
Especially during the race, especially in like the East Coast. They love to tarp everything. And anything metal, they seem to really want to tarp.
Because they don't want the metal to rust.
Yeah.
So now we have a tarp. Now, I had a load when we first started, and it needed to be tarped. And I didn't know anything about this business. I didn't know nothing. So I'm like, well, hell, I'll just go get me a Home Depot tarp for $120. Went and got the Home Depot tarp. And we tarped the load. Everything was fine. But man, that tarp didn't make it. I mean, it made it, but it was done by the time I got to my destination. That thing was ripped all to hell.
And it was only a 3-hour drive.
Oh yeah, it was a 3-hour drive, and it was just ripped all to hell. I mean, the D-rings were ripped. It made it. But
and the reason why we did Home Depot tarp is some brokers will ask. They're like, well, why can't you get a Home Depot tarp? And we're like, you know what? Why not?
Yeah,
sure.
You know, why not?
But now we know when they ask us that, it's like, because it won't last.
It won't last. And I tell, I tell these brokers all the time, it won't last. And I'm a living testament that it won't last, because it
kept the load dry.
It kept the load dry.
But the very back end was shredded.
It went in the trash after that load, so that was $120 that I just wasted. I just blew off into the wind. And hold on, just give me a minute. Hold on. I gotta pet my puppy. She's
Ruby, our greeny girl.
Yeah, this is our granny girl right here. She's begging for some attention, so we gotta give her some attention. Go get him! Go get him! Go get him! I do that to her all the time. I say, go get him, go get him. She takes off running, she ain't got a clue where she's going. If you're gonna tarp a load, I'm not gonna say don't do it. I'm not gonna say anything, but I'm gonna strongly suggest that you do not get a Home Depot tarp.
Well, some brokers will not take the load without a vinyl,
Right,
because they know about other tarps.
They specify no Home Depot tarps. Now, don't get me wrong, Home Depot tarps have their place. The trucking industry, I have realized, is not their place. So, with tarps, we're going to talk about edge protectors. Because you don't want your tarp to rip on sharp edges. So you got a couple options. One, my favorite is little baby diapers and duct tape. That's my favorite.
You'll see that also in the load. That
video right here.
Well, we had already tagged it. It was the same video that was teeny tiny.
You'll see it in the load that we tagged already. I love diapers. Diapers are great. You know, you put them right on the corner. They work good.
It was great for another load that we could hook up, or to link in the top right corner.
So I love diapers. These are my favorite. Now we have another video right here that we can show that we used diapers on that video too, and it kept everything perfectly together, not ripped. Now, the other style is get an old strap that's got a rip in it. You know, you can't have a strap that's got a rip more than I think it's an eighth or a quarter or something like that of the width of your strap. And I'd gotten one of my straps ripped, and it ripped to probably about right there. And it ripped on a load that I took. One of my edge protectors, I didn't realize wasn't quite over the entire strap. And it was about right there over, and I didn't even realize it. But when I got to my drop off, I saw that rip, and I immediately just took that strap out of service and cut it up. I called my dad. I said, "Hey, Pop, what's the best thing to use for edge protectors?" Because what I was using was cardboard, and you know, I didn't know nothing.
Which cardboard is an option.
Cardboard is an option.
We just don't have it.
But make sure that your strap is with your cardboard completely. You know, here's your strap. Here's your cardboard, and you want to make sure that it's completely over it. And same thing with these. You know, what I like about these is it's the same width as my straps that I've got on the truck. So I just make sure that it's 100% over it. And so I called my dad and I said, "Hey, Pop, what's a good edge protector? Because I ripped the strap." And he said, "Well, take that strap that you just ripped and cut it into, 1.5 sections. And just fold it over and use it like that." I was like, "Well, man, that's a great idea." I mean, you been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, he himself was a truck driver for many, many years.
So I've got a bunch of these, and if I rip another strap, I'll just cut that strap up and call it a day. And my least favorite, these guys. I'm not a big fan, but I did find out. So if you notice, it's not a 90. I did not know, my lovely wife did not know, neither one of us knew, that there was something more than a 90 on edge protectors, but there are. So if you see, it's more than a 90. So, but I did find out what these are for. These are for hauling beds, truck beds, flatbed beds, or trailers, or anything like that, because it locks on to the bed. So they're my least favorite. But they do have their place. And so we are going to order some actual 90s. And I'm going to keep these because, like I said, they're great for beds. But those are the edge protectors that we use. And the other thing, I'm pretty sure you can see it back here, is bungees. You're going to need bungees when you're doing tarps.
A lot of bungees.
A lot of bungees.
How many do we have?
We have 55.
And there's been a time where we only had 2 left.
Yeah, we got 55. So what we did, we saw this on YouTube or TikTok. I wish I could remember where we saw it at originally, so I can give that person props, but I can't. I can't remember. And so this is just 4-inch PVC pipe. Cut it, I don't even remember. I just kind of put this up there. Whatever the length of your strap bungee is, make it about 1.5 inches, 2 inches longer, so it'll stretch and not, it'll be taut.
Yeah, you definitely want them tight, not loose.
Yeah, you don't want them loose. So now you're asking, well, John, where do you put that? I mean, it's a kind of a big bulky thing. Well, I tell you what, man, check it out. So they fit perfectly right here. Check it out. Right here. Right there, just like that. They fit just perfectly. Now you're asking, well, how do you keep it from flying away? That's where these loose bungees that you saw in the trailer come into play. So we have 7 bungees. You only need 2 to hold this down. You only need 2. See, I'll show you real quick. So you only need 2. So and it's real easy. You just hook it at the top, hook it at the bottom, hook it at the top, and hook it at the bottom. But let's say you're carrying a tractor and you don't need a tarp, but it has a loose door on it. Well, instead of taking all that apart, taking that down, taking one bungee off of it, and then putting it back on there, you just grab a bungee off of there. And when you're done, you just strap it right back around. Or sometimes when you roll up your strap and you put it through your ratchet, sometimes, you don't judge it quite right, and the ratchet won't close all the way. So you hook this in the handle, come underneath the trailer, your rub rail, and you hook it in the other side of the handle, and it holds it down. You don't have to worry about your strap coming up. So makes it real easy just to have a couple of spares that you can just take off, really quick. You don't have to worry about undoing nothing. And there it is. So that's our tarp. And
this is where we put the bungees.
This is where we put the bungees. It keeps it out of the way. And like I said before, you get inventive out here to try to save space. And you try to save space, you try to save weight, you just try to make it as easy on yourself as possible because, well, this isn't the easiest. I mean, it's not the hardest thing in the world, but it's not the easiest thing in the world. And when you're away from home and you got limited space, well, sometimes you gotta get inventive. So that's what we do. And well, I guess we're gonna roll this tarp back up and
Go on to the next one.
go on to the next one. So occasionally, every once in a while, you want to spread your tarp all the way out. One, you want to dry it out, because you don't want mildew all over your tarp. Two, which is the biggest reason, is every so often you want to stretch your tarp out so you can look at it for tears and rips. And if there's any rips and tears, obviously you want to fix them.
Or usually you can tell on the load if there is a rip, but it's always good to double make sure.
It's always good to double make sure. It's always good to dry out your tarp. And so that's why we did it. There we go. Okay. That wasn't too hard, was it? No, I'm kidding. So, I personally like to put my tarp closer to this side so I can see it in my rearview mirror. And so, some people like to put it in the center, some people like to put it in the back, some people like to put it up on top of the tire. I like to put it here because there's very little wind resistance.
And we use it so often, we might as well just put it on the trailer. And if we don't, well, then we move it somewhere else.
Just that simple. And we've had to put it inside the truck. But, hold on. All right. So now, we're just going to strap it down. Call it a day. And once we strap it down, it'll suck it down even further and be less wind resistance. And when I say wind resistance, I'm not talking about, oh, I'm going to lose, 12 miles to the gallon because the tarp is in the way. What I'm talking about is hitting right here. Right here. Now, it might hit a little bit because it might not suck down all the way. But at least it'll minimize getting hit, the tarp itself getting hit by the wind. All right, so you see how it's below my wood here? So, and once again, guys, this isn't one of those, this is how you should do it. But this is one of those, this is how I do it. I'm a little weird sometimes in some of the things I do, and I'm okay with that.
And if you guys do anything better, just let us know. Maybe we'll do that.
Hit me up. Let me know something. Tell me what you got. But this is how I like to do it. And then I just kind of smash everything down. And I just like to get it just as tight as humanly possible. And I do that with everything. All right. Now, you're probably seeing this dunnage right here, which is just wood. And I don't know why they call it dunnage, but I don't care. It's what it's called, and everybody knows it. So, there for a while we were using it all the time, but here lately, well, we ain't really used it almost hardly at all. So, I'm almost tempted to just take it off the truck. But you know what's gonna happen? When I take it off the truck, and the very next load I'm gonna need it. So it's not very heavy. Don't really take up a whole lot of room. It just takes up 4 inches of the trailer. All right, this is the dash cam. There it is. So the importance of dash cams. If someone backs up and backs into you, they're going to blame it on you. Because the general rule of thumb is if you hit someone or if someone gets hit from the back or from behind, it is the person behind them's fault. There was a guy, I saw him on Facebook. I'm not going to say his name. Pretty cool guy, damn good driver. Don't really hear a whole lot about him for good things. Somebody backed up into his truck. Now, he's a commercial vehicle. I'm a commercial vehicle. Someone backed up into the front of his truck. He did not have a dash camera. They blamed it on him, and he had no way to prove it. And so he said he got put on the hook for that because there was no way to prove it. And he said he's going out to get he went out and got a dash cam, like after that whole deal was over. I don't remember how long I guess that doesn't matter. But if someone backs into you, they can blame it on you. Now, the other thing that they can get you on the hook for is slamming on their brakes. Now, back in the late 80s, early 90s, it was a huge deal. People would get in front of big trucks and slam on their brakes to get a payout. Without a dash cam, nobody could prove it. Nobody could prove anything. And a lot of people got some pretty good payouts on that. Then people started putting dash cams on the trucks, and well, that don't work anymore. So, also, the other thing you can do with a dash cam is get some really cool footage. I mean, it runs all the time. And
sometimes we use the footage for intros.
That's right. And the only time that, from what my understanding is, the only time that it actually logs through the system is when you have a hard brake or an impact. Now, if you're a hotshot like we are, and you have a dash cam and you have it connected to your ELD, which we have it connected through Keep Trucking, and we pay $34 a month for the dash cam and $34 a month for the ELD, which is, what is that, $68 a month. Now, I am willing to pay that extra $34 a month for a peace of mind. Now, that being said, with a little truck, like what I have and what a lot of hotshot drivers have, if you get an ELD through Keep Trucking, make sure that you specify, or make sure that you make them specify in your logs that it is a little truck. We ran through that because we also have a hotspot through the ELD, and a hotspot ran out and we never used it one time. Well, because I'm a little truck and I stop way faster than a big truck, every time I applied the brake just a little bit, it was logging. Every time it was logging, and every time it logs, it uses some of your hotspot. Every time I made a turn, a stop, just slightly applying the brake just to take the cruise control off, it was logging. So make sure that you have them specify in your logs that you are a little truck, because they won't do that automatically. So there's your thing on dash cams. Now, I'm not saying that you have to get a dash cam. I'm not going to say that you're dumb for not getting a dash cam. I'm not going to say anything. But what I am going to say is I would highly recommend getting a dash cam, because there are a lot of things happen out here, man. You know, a lot of things happen out here. I mean, it's just crazy what happens out here. And you always want to be protected. You always want to protect yourself. It says CYA. And if you don't know what CYA means, it means cover your ass. So you want to CYA before something happens, not after it happens, because then it doesn't matter. and then you're gonna be on the hook for something that you didn't even do. I mean, you might have done it, but if someone backs into you or someone slams on the brakes in front of you, I mean, that's not your fault. I mean, you're 26 to 36,000 pounds, and a little car slams on a brake in front of you. You're not stopping. You're gonna smash into that dude. And no, there you go. That's my little tidbit on dash cams. We have realized when we first started, we wanted to be home all the time. All the time we wanted to be home. So we wanted to be home every weekend. We realized it's just really hard to make money when you're at home all the time. Every weekend you're home every weekend. So now we try to stay out anywhere between 2 and 4 weeks. Our longest run was 5 weeks, right?
I think it was 4.
Was it 4? Okay. Our longest run was 4 weeks. We made some pretty damn good money. Actually, every time we stay out longer than 2 weeks, we make some really good money. And so,
And the reason for that is because you limit yourself on loads because you're trying to get to a specific destination instead of taking the best load you can.
right. Just kind of let that load board take you wherever it's going to take you. Now, if you have a dedicated load, if you have a dedicated route, of course you're going to be home as often as you are going to be home. But we do not have dedicated routes. We use a load board, and so far it is treating us very very well, very nicely. And so that's my little tidbit on that. And well, I guess that's the end of this little video right here. Hopefully y'all like it. And if you have any comments, hit me up. If you have any questions, hit me up. If you feel that there's something I didn't cover, hit me up. But until then, like, share, subscribe, tell your mom and dad about me. No kids. Cuss too much.